You're listening to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
The secret to well-being is discovering the power that is your birthright, the power to create a happier, healthier life, drawn from our own vast internal resources. Join Jules and her guests as they gently guide you to shift your perspective from the familiar negative to the divinely connected, a place that will not only positively impact your world, but possibly shift the planet. It's all right here on Law of Attraction Talk Radio.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Well, welcome to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. Thanks for joining me. Well, I just had to play the theme music to Star Trek because, well, we had a Star Trek experience, and what a week this has been. How many of you caught Captain T. Kirk going out into outer space, a place to boldly go where very few men have gone before? I watched the actual liftoff with William Shatner going straight up to the ethers, and I watched him return. And while he was 63 miles above Earth, and while everyone was experiencing weightlessness, he stood at the window looking out, and he wouldn't move away from it because he was so mesmerized by having a personal God moment, just by looking back at planet Earth. Upon his return, he expressed through tears his wonder about the light to darkness, as if he was experiencing life and death while looking at our planet. And seeing planet Earth, he realized how fragile it really is, with just a small layer or veil or ether separating everything in our atmosphere and space. I do believe that God was expressing himself to Shatner, and Shatner was listening with his heart, that we can't exist without our planet. So we must take care of it. Wow, this was a powerful moment for me as well. It was one of the brightest moments we have experienced for many, many, many years. Forget everything else right now. Let this serve as a brilliant lesson of reality creation, of the law of attraction. Now, I was in the 7th or 8th grade when Captain Kirk came on TV with this delicious theme song. Each episode made you step out of your day-to-day realm and let you start creating from the imagination and the power of the mind matter to create your future. And this week, we witnessed William Shatner experiencing what he was physically playing about 55 years ago. He did it. And this was huge. He went up 63 miles. Captain Kirk manifested this reality. But you know what? We helped him. We all believed he would do it. We never doubted it. So last week, Captain Kirk took us with him. I watched it as it happened, and I couldn't stop watching it. You got to ask yourself, would it have happened if we never saw Star Trek? Well, maybe, maybe not. But the show laid the groundwork for the creation. As a matter of fact, they had one episode in which they showed that the mind and thoughts people created actually came into form. It was right there for us to grasp. So it's no wonder why law of attraction people gravitated toward Star Trek, and why Star Trek people gravitate towards the law of attraction. And yet, we did believe it would happen someday. Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock were the starting point of our belief in tomorrow, in our future, in our children's future. Say what you want about Jeff Bezos, but I love the fact that he and Elon Musk are creating that bridge to other worlds. It's time to go where no man or woman has gone before. In this year of 2021, we're going through a pandemic illness. It makes you think, if we can go to outer space, why are we making such a big deal out of COVID? We are so powerful. Look at what we have created. And then ask yourself, why are we settling for less? We should not do anything less than creating a world filled with wonder and joy and excitement. Truly, we all believe that soon COVID will be gone. And it will be. Why is that? Well, because we are magnificent creators. It's not the pharmaceuticals who will remedy the situation, nor the government. It will happen when we choose to stop creating it to affect our lives. All I can say is thank you, Captain Kirk. We all needed that trip to remind us how powerful we are. We can create anything in our non-reality and bring it into our existing reality. Now, let's get on with life, because we are, my friends, magnificent creators. Believe and you shall receive. Tonight we're talking to a terrific lady by the name of Janice McDermott, who wrote the book, The Healing Mind and Mind Magic, which also has a terrific workbook with it. It's about streamlining the power of the imagination via an 18 step-by-step progressive guided imagery lesson. And I think you're really going to get something out of this week's show, so I want you to pay attention. I'm also going to tell you that I did not know Captain Kirk was taking off this week in a rocket ship. But now I know the reason for Janice being scheduled to come on my show this week. By this time, I should stop being amazed how the universe puts everything together to get this message out there. So please invite your friends and family to listen and learn. You see, this is how we truly are conspiring with the universe to create exactly what we need and when we need it. Planet Earth and the starship Voyager are truly magical places, but nothing holds the flame as to the power that we have inside of all of us and what we can create. After all, our minds create the matter, and we just saw William Shatner do the exact same thing. And he went 63 miles above the earth. That's no small feat. Never forget the power of the law of attraction. We're going to take a fast break, but then we are going to be back with Janice McDermott. You're going to love what she says. Stay tuned.
Introducing a self-healing technology that is pioneering the era of quantum healing, Scalar Light. Try it free for 15 days. We offer a remote healing experience that is 100% safe and natural. All we need is your photograph. Some of our programs include pathogenic cleanse, chakra balancing, and nutrient therapy. Try Scalar Light free for 15 days. Visit our website to learn more at scalarlight.com.
Well, welcome, Janice, to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I am so thrilled to meet you. I love this book. and everything that it allows us to do for ourselves. It's called Healing Minds, and it is really, really terrific.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your recognition of that. That's great.
Well, it truthfully is allowing us to decipher what's going on with us. I mean, we're with ourselves 24/7. So it means that if we just simply pay attention, we can learn how to really be our own counselor. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. That's what it is. It's like how to become your own therapist. And it takes you through the steps that a therapist would go through. You know, those hidden secrets.
Yeah.
You don't know what the therapist is thinking or how they're, you know, coming to their decision for the next thing. And so the book takes you through the whole step of it with the things to do, you know, at each step. If this is a step that bothers you, then here's what you do about it. If you are at this point, well, here's what you do at that point.
So you truly are facilitating your own healing.
Yes. Yes. It's how to be your own therapist. Yes.
I love this. I love this. So how did you get to this point? Did you recognize the need? Is this something that we, having gone to therapists like I have, did you recognize that some of the stuff that we could really do on our own?
Oh, we can do it all on our own. If we have the tools, we have the insight and the tools and the patience with ourselves, we can definitely do it all. You know, so we have to be willing to take the time, give the attention, and engage ourselves in this process. It's like an adventure within yourself.
And it's a bit of self-discipline as well, because you're really learning about yourself.
Yes, but I like to call it curiosity. Sometimes
yes.
Self-discipline is a little like, oh no, you know, so I like it. Curiosity. It's, you know, get curious about yourself. Like, what is my process? What am I doing here? How did I get to this point? Let me back it up and see what I did to get right here. You know, where did I go awry, so to speak?
And so often we react to what is happening in the now instead of going back and really deciphering, well, like you said, how did I get here? Well, how do I prevent myself from getting here again?
Exactly. Yes. So it's kind of like being that way. It's like when you get lost, you know, you say, well, here I am. Where did I take that wrong turn? You know, let me go back and correct this. Let me do something different the next time I come. I don't want to get lost every single time I come down this road.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So now talk about the steps that you take the people or the readers through. Like the first step, how do we engage ourselves into understanding? I mean, it just seems like we've got all these voices going off in our head. And which one do we really sit there and pay attention to?
We pay attention to our body first. What's my body doing? Where's my tension? You know, where's my breath? Am I holding it? Am I getting adequate, you know, filling of my lungs, my diaphragm in action? And when I think I'm relaxed, let me just take a little deeper. Where does my attention want to go in my body? And be curious about that. Be curious about where your attention wants to go. Because there will be some place you don't just pay attention to yourself and get nothing. You will get something. Sometimes it's in your toes, you know, curling in your shoes. Sometimes it's your diaphragm. Sometimes it's a shoulder tension in just one shoulder. Or maybe you just kind of half smile. Or you've got this neck thing or the center of your back. So you begin to pay attention to those things. And I'm a Gestalt therapist, which is we're in the moment and we bring the past into the present. You don't go looking for the past. The past just shows up in your present. And that's called your unfinished business. So when you have those tensions in your body, they're wanting to talk to you. They want to say, hey, you left me behind back there. I'm still sitting here in your body. And so when you begin to look at that and have that part of you talk, say, you know, you become your shoulder and you say, I am Janice's shoulder And I'm trying to hold up her whole life, because she pulls me up all the time when she's a little anxious. So you have a dialogue like that, and you begin to get self-realization. But there's always a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything. See, so you either have a long phase of it where you have a beginning, and it seems like it's in the beginning and the beginning and the beginning before you get to the middle, or it can be really quick. So you just look at where's the beginning, where's the middle, and where's the end. Where am I starting from? When will I have the most energy for it? And when will I be finished?
So it's really amazing that our bodies will recognize it first.
Well, it recognizes how we're limiting ourselves, yes. Because everything
I love that.
is managed, comes through our body. Our law of attention says that, it's out here. It's out here. We all can feel it. It's all out here. It's all ours. We can have all these possibilities. But those possibilities have to manifest in the world through our body.
Yeah.
Not just our mind, but our body with our mind and our emotions.
So it's really interesting you're saying that, because in the law of attraction, we always put it to our mental capabilities, and we often ignore what our body is telling us. So this is a very powerful lesson for all of the listeners right now. We need to totally understand what our body is talking to us or trying to tell us.
Right.
Wow.
Because if we don't connect with our body, it never gets manifest. See, nothing manifests in the world except how we create it. And we're creating it physically and mentally and emotionally. If it doesn't have an emotion with it, it won't get created. So we got to do our part. It's not just like magic, that comes in here.
Darn it.
It can feel like that, though. Once you start doing your part, things show up in just a magical way. It's just there pretty quickly. And just like I got just with you. I mean, you just had an email that from an old email that had been canceled address that showed up with me. And then here I am doing this. Like, oh, this is so exciting.
This is so important for us to understand. So it's just not our mind, it's our entire body. Yes. And that's what we have just not focused in on. So I want you to elaborate a little bit more. What does this mean for us? And where are we going to, how do we understand our body?
Well, we understand our body with an emotion. See, because there's going to be an emotion, mad, sad, glad, or afraid, is the energy that drives our behavior and our creativity. So you're going to have mad, sad, glad, or afraid in a muscle or a place that gets your attention. See, it may not be shoulder tension or muscle tension. It may be just this wiggly feeling in your abdomen or a really sad feeling in your heart that gets your attention, but it's still connected to your body. And so then what does this mean for me and my energy field? Like I had a woman who's interested in having a baby, but she's so interested in having a baby, she has it so concretized that the law of the universe doesn't have any possibilities. It only has that possibility. Where if she said, I am opening to the universe for having a child in my life, at whatever way the universe wants to present it, well, there's lots of ways she could get that. She could inherit it from some relative who's unfortunately died and left children, or that she could be a foster person. She could have more than one baby when she gets pregnant. If you just don't focus it on a baby, you could have triplets, or more babies, lots of babies. So we have to not be so designated to one thing. Embrace our excitement about creativity, and just the surprise that the universe brings us.
You know, that is so true, because I've always wanted to have children, but I never had children. But what I manifested is 5 grandkids that I didn't birth, but my goodness, they are my babies.
Yes.
Well, now they're old babies, but
right.
So I am a mother, and I have been a mother to them. I practically raise these kids.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how manifestation does take effect when you have this strong desire, the emotions, just like you were talking about, it will manifest something.
Yes.
And for me, it was fantastic. It was wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes. And see, with our internal critic that we have, we limit possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to be really careful, that subconscious thinking that we've got. We have to really notice that, that like, well, that's never going to happen to me. Or like, I've been working with the law of attraction and nothing happens. See, the critic begins to come in there. We're not being open with an emotion and being willing to have success through adventure and excitement and not know the answer to the whole thing. We're going to win a prize and don't know what the prize is.
So then our step 4, this is such a great subject that we're talking about, because it's answering a whole bunch of questions. I can just hear the questions in my mind. So we have to get clear on what our question is, or what process we really want to happen. Or do we just put it out there to the universe and kind of walk away with it and just forget it?
Well, I think it just comes to us kind of naturally, actually. We'll have an idea, something we want. We can either say, I have the potential to go to a movie. I have the money, the resources, transportation to go to a movie. And I want to go to a movie this afternoon. So then we go to the theater, and then we look at the billboard and we see what we want to go see. Now that's being open to the law of possibilities. Now, if I say, well, I'm going to go to the movie, but I don't have any money, I don't have a way to get there, and I'm wanting to see Gone with the Wind, and it's not, and I get there, it's not playing, so if we get too concrete in what we want at the beginning, too defined, I might say, too defined, well, then we're not going to get it.
So true.
So we have to be really open to it. There's a lot of things, though, in Healing Mind, that's going to tell you the process of how we interrupt that process of the law of attraction. And one of the things is we've got to be sensory aware. We're hearing, smelling, seeing, really sensory aware. And we have to not be making up stuff about what we are aware of. And then we want to put the meaning of what we're aware of, like, say, a sound. What's the meaning of that sound? We just heard a loud boom. What's the meaning of it? And that has to do with our education, our family, our religion, our culture, and our experience, what we think about it.
Interesting.
And one of those things will be what's limiting you. It's either your education's limiting you, or your family belief system, or your religion or spiritual practice, or your culture, or just plain old experience. And those are the areas where people are the most reluctant to change. So, I'm used to where I live now. I don't want to live over there in another state. That's too far away. That's part of your culture, your family. Well, my religion believes this. And if I stop doing that, well, I'll lose all my friends. So it's really hard. Or my religion doesn't want me to get a divorce. They say it's wrong, but I'm miserable with this guy. He's abusive, or girl, he's abusive. And so, but we hold ourselves back because of the meaning of our sensory awareness.
Wow. That is so true.
And then after we get over that hump, we go into formulating a want. Now, that formulating the want is where you've got to be less specific and specific at the same time. Like, the want is I'm hungry and I'm going to go bake a cake. I'd like something really sweet. Let's go bake a cake. And then you get in there and you realize, well, I don't have enough eggs for that cake. But I could bake cookies. I could do something, else, could create something else to eat. And so you have your resources, see, and you have the process of putting your energy focus into something, but it wasn't specifically defined initially. See, so you're open for change in that process. Same thing we were talking about with whether you want a baby or you want children. Do I want to eat or do I want a specific thing to eat? And do I want to be in a relationship with a 6'4" guy who's making a lot of money or what? We want to be general about it, not specific about it. We can be specific first and then let it go and make it general, make it abstract. So that we say, okay, whatever you want to bring me relative to this.
I think that is so important because you're letting go and you're letting the universe then. Yeah. And the universe has the bigger picture of it all.
Right.
And
our inner critic is the one that kind of causes us to mess all that up.
That is a true statement. Oh my goodness. Yes, yeah. Exactly. Wow. So this is really good. You really are a law of attraction teacher. Because you have such great knowledge about the mind and how we think, the psychology of it all. And you're bringing it together in ways that I've never really heard it brought together before. So I think this is fantastic. You really are a law of attraction teacher. Because we can't manifest unless we do what you are saying.
Right. It's like having, we are the machinery for the manifestation. It has to come through our body. And we don't want to be restrictive to it. We don't want to have just a little narrow spot place where a little flow of energy can come in. We want to be big, wide.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ready to receive whatever.
Well, along with your book, you also have a workbook.
Well, I actually have two books. The Healing Mind is one book that tells you how to become a therapist. Then Mind Magic is
Magic
is the second book, and it has a workbook with it.
Right.
And Mind Magic is all guided imagery exercises that lead you to an emotional well-being. And it's designed for any age between 10 and adulthood. And it's been used in schools. And you have guided imagery 5 minutes a day. But that guided imagery teaches a principle of good mental health. And you start with the foundation and you work up to where you know how to manage the voices in your head, the hesitation you have, the lack of spontaneity, all comes through just learning guided imagery exercises.
Wow.
And you just it has a script, so you can read the script. And you have a 5-minute one for every day, or you can put them together and use 25 minutes once a week with a group or individually. Like you could record them for yourself and then just listen to them if you wanted to.
Wow.
So they've been tested in schools, and they found that schools that used them, within 2 weeks, the school got calmer. Students said that it kept them from committing suicide. That was high school students.
Really?
Yeah. And other students said they were less likely to want to do marijuana with their friends or encourage their friends to do that. They also said that I feel like I have a safe place inside of me after this. And they felt more able to see themselves successful. They didn't get test anxiety. So, it's really a remarkable program in Mind Magic, because there's not any magic to it. It just feels like it is because it's all guided imagery.
Yeah.
No?
But to have a child of 10 start at that early age, right, it gives them such a head start in life.
Right.
Because then they have control. They have control of their mind and emotions through guided imagery.
Right. I had one parent in church come up to me, and she says, "I'm so glad that you all are teaching that in the school. My son came home the other day and said, 'Mom, do you know that's just what you're saying is just not right. There's only 4 feelings.'" So she says, "So he taught me that there are only 4 feelings. I'm so happy about that."
Okay, so give us the 4 feelings.
Mad, sad, glad, and afraid. Every word we got to represent any of those emotions can be put in those categories: mad, sad, glad, and afraid. Now, a lot of people confuse physical sensations as an emotion. They're not. They'll say, "I'm feeling anxious." Anxious is not an emotion. It's body sensation.
Uh-huh.
It's where your vagus nerve has been trained to go into fear and flight rather than into "I'm okay." So the vagus nerve, when it does that, we have to calm it down so that we can get it, going in the right direction, so we can feel peaceful and calm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wow. This is so fascinating. So you're taking people, even 10-year-old children, all the way through so that they can understand what the process is going on in their mind.
Yes.
In order to get to that peaceful place.
Right. And to develop skills, coping skills.
Skills.
Yeah, right. And how to manage worldly things that's going on in the world that they encounter. Not to take things so personally, and to move towards success.
Can you give us an example of that?
Which one?
How a child can stop taking things so seriously?
Well, it depends. You can do this program over and over and over because the brain matures. So you might be started with 10 years old and they don't quite get the last lesson, like planning your career.
Oh, yeah.
But they got an idea now that there is a career that you plan for, there's planning for this. I got to be ready for that. So it kind of plants a seed of expectation. But the next year they're a little older. So when you do it again, they have a different insight. They have a different mental experience. So they begin to be aware of their own personal growth in the process. And you can just do like even the first 7 lessons with somebody who's like 10 years old, where you have manage your body, you learn to breathe, you learn how to shift perception. See, a lot of times some of the problems people have in learning is that they have not been able to shift perception. Learning to shift your perception happens when you're learning to crawl. And if you didn't learn to crawl, you may have a problem with shifting your perception to know what's in foreground and what's in background.
Wow.
So it teaches them how to do that. And then they do the seeing and imagining. A lot of people imagine a lot of things rather than actually seeing it. We see somebody smile and you say, "Well, what are you seeing?" They won't say your smile. They'll say you're happy. Well, we can't see if you're happy. We can only see your smile, or it looks like you would be happy, but we don't really know that without asking you.
Huh.
So it gets to be more attention paid to each individual person in your environment once you go through this too. And then hearing what you hear, seeing what you see through all your five senses. Because if one of our five senses is out of awareness, well, you're handicapped a little bit. And my auditory is out of my awareness of the five most of the time. And so I have been known to go into a store where they're playing a CD, for store music.
Right.
And I go, oh, I love that. I love that. It reminds me of something I can't quite put my finger on it. I'm going to get that CD. And I have bought a CD and come home with that CD and realize I already had it. Because auditory is kind of out of my awareness. It's in the background. It doesn't come right up to say, oh, I've got that at home. Like visual does. I'm a very visual person. See, so that's how we heighten our awareness with our five senses. We discover parts of ourselves that's been in the closet for a long time.
Wow. And those need to be discovered because we're living half a life if we don't know all of our senses and don't pay attention to them. If we just let them fly by, we're missing half of our life.
Well, it costs me money.
This is so interesting. So,
well, one of the things I'd like to just say one more thing about it.
Sure, please.
One of the things that really has to be in there when this is going on is gratitude. You have to have gratitude. You have to be grateful for what the universe does give you. You can't pout about it. You can't say, well, that wasn't the right color. I wanted it bigger. I wanted to be famous. Whatever the thing is, and get an attitude. Whatever shows up is a gift. Be generous about it. Be happy about it. Be grateful about it. Be excited about it. Because it takes that emotion for the universe to make an action through you in the world, takes your emotions.
That's right. And we have always talked about gratitude being the power behind pushing that manifestation into reality.
Right. But that kind of concept is kind of hard for some people because they think they got to be gracious for what it is they're wanting already. But what it is that you take what you're wanting, you make it abstract, and whatever you get, you're gracious for it. You have gratitude then. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, because that emotion is what brings it to you.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So you've got to feel how it is.
Yes.
Before you actually get it. You've got to make it not physical, but you have to have it planted in your brain that this is how wonderful.
Yes. Yes. It's kind of like if you're giving a party and you're expecting 10 people and they're people you like and you really want them to come and it's your birthday party or something. And there's the doorbell rings or a knock on the door and you have this feeling of excitement that comes up. Now, you don't know who's on the other side of the door. You don't know which one of you 10 guests it is. So you're not going to open the door and say, oh, it's you. We're going to say, yay, come on in. And that's what we're doing with the universe. We don't know what the universe is going to give us, but we've planned the party. We're all ready. We're prepared. We've got the potential. We've got everything going. The invitations got sent out. And now we open the door and people show up and we begin and we're grateful. So we have that sense of expectation with gratitude, not expectation with specifics.
I like that. But there are people out there who are so fearful that instead they're fearful of what they're going to get. because it's not going to be what they want. So it's like they have to totally shift the way that they're thinking. And yes. Some of it's so ingrained, they don't even know they're doing it.
Right. That's their critic. That's their internal critic that's doing that.
Yeah.
You have fear. Fear is not going to create very much. It is an emotion. It does create something.
Yeah.
But it's not going to create very much. And then you've got your critic probably telling you something that creates the fear to begin with. So when we develop our internal nurturer, which doesn't make any criticisms, which loves and teaches and accepts, then we get much more. And that's what Healing Mind, it tells you how to have that nurture.
In Healing Mind, it teaches you how to get to that place where you can nurture yourself. Right. And do you know how desperately the world needs that now?
This is psychological nurturing that we're talking about. It's not, it can be physical. Most of us get the physical nurturing part. We don't get the psychological nurturing part.
Our own mind giving us the psychological nurturing that we need.
Yes.
We ignore it. We want people to say it to us, but we don't really realize that we have to really take it on ourselves.
Right. And all of us as children had some need that didn't get met. Would you like me to tell you what the needs of most people are?
Please.
Okay. When primary needs of children are freedom of imagination. And some people are basically afraid of their imagination. They don't allow themselves to have all the things they want to imagine. You think it's too dark or too scary or, it's going to be or whatever. We don't get enough information. And so a child under 10 years old makes up things that are not really truthful about what they saw or what they did or what they heard. And so then that comes into their adult life and contaminates it until it gets readdressed by a nurturing part of themselves. A lot of people have more need for companionship, because as a child they lived maybe in the country, didn't have many people to play with. And so they're wanting more companionship. So when we have an internal nurturer, the nurturer gives our inner child that companionship, that safety for creating. All of our inner child, our creativity comes from our inner child. And all of our four emotions come from our inner child. Wow. And then we have, some of us need recognition, positive attention, validation. And we don't get that. We don't give it to ourselves enough, see? We have to give it to ourselves in order to recognize it when it's given to us in the world. And then we need stimulation, like active engagement. You have people who just have all kinds of dreams and creativity and imagination, but have no action. Because they're not stimulated enough to have an action. And then there's understanding. A child needs to be understood. Your inner child needs to be understood. That's understood with compassion from your nurturer.
Wow. This is so good. Go ahead.
I have one more story I like to tell. And that's, I had a therapist who came to see me in Savannah. I was working in Savannah. And he was quite good himself. And he says, I'm really having this problem. He says, I know it's going to cost me a lot of difficulty if I don't get this problem solved. And so it turned out that he was about to mortgage his house to buy a boat that you could have in the ocean, because you live close to the ocean. And he says, I know I can't afford it. My logical mind says I can't afford it, and I really can't. But I have this drive inside of me. It's almost like a compulsion to get this boat. And I'm thinking about mortgaging my house and buying that boat. So we did some work with that and got really deeper with his inner child part. And his inner child wanted the boat. And so his nurture says, well, what is that boat going to do for you? What is it about that boat you like? Because your inner child is never wanting something that's an adult form, like a big ocean liner. The child part of him said, it rocks. I like the way it rocks, because he could see it rocking on the water, and it wanted to go on that boat and rock. So long story short, the guy got a rocking chair and put it on his porch. And every afternoon when he came home from work, he would rock for 30 minutes on his porch. And the desire to get that boat and mortgage his house went away.
Wow.
Because your inner child and your nurture can come to an agreement about what the child wants in a more informed way from the adult perspective, from the nurturer.
Wow, what a great story. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we want from our child perspective, but our child doesn't have enough information to really make this decision. We have to make an adult decision from our nurturer, including the child. And all of your audience could use this part. When you get ready to go to your car, just imagine that you reach around and you get hold of the hand of your inner child. And that you're going to the car and you say, would you like to ride in the front seat or the back seat? And you wait a minute and you'll get an answer. There'll be some kind of communication that takes place where it'll say back seat or front seat, it'll tell you. So you say, okay. And then you don't have to have a child carriage seat or anything. You just say, okay, let it get in the car. And then you do that 2 or 3 times during the day when you get in and out of the car. And pretty soon you will be having this open communication with your inner child. Because your inner child is also afraid of you. It's afraid of your critic. So if you don't have the calm critic down, then your inner child will be too afraid to talk to you. So you have to do a little teasing him out. Now, you can't get rid of your critic just by saying go away, because it's a part of us. And we can't criticize the critic, because then we'd have 2 of them.
Right.
So what we say to the critic, the nurturer says to the critic, thank you for all your help. You've kept me alive up until this point. And at this moment, I think you deserve a vacation. So you can go read the comics in the car. You can go to Florida on a trip. You can do whatever makes you stop what you're doing now. So the key word is stop. When the critic comes on, you say stop. And this is kind of like a Bible thing. So, for he who is in me is greater than he who is in the world. And that's talking about your nurture, because the nurture is the part of you that loves, that accepts, that embraces, that invites, that encourages.
Wow, that is so brilliant. I love that. I love that. There's a different perspective of the inner child that I haven't heard before. And it has been around for years and years, but the way that you're describing it rings true. It's like, I finally get it.
Oh, good.
I think everybody can finally grasp it now.
Oh, well, that's exciting. That's all I ever want anybody to do.
Yeah, because it's right there, and we can understand what we're trying to say. Now, we're really never really growing up. Our inner child is going to be at that young age, even if we're at 80 years old.
Well, here's what happens. To get a little more technical with that part, is that the part of our inner child that's left is the part that didn't get integrated. It's the wounded part. And it gets healed. Well, as it gets healed, it gets younger and younger. See, so it goes back into infinity. In other words, we integrate it. When it gets healed, we integrate that part. And it goes back to infinity. Well, the more we use our nurture, the bigger it gets. The more love we spend, the bigger, more love we can have, and the bigger the love gets. And it goes into infinity. Well, your inner child and your nurture are one in infinity. They're integrated in your body so that you don't have to really think about it. it took me initially about a year of really paying attention, noticing, getting all the material I needed, and having it so it's just a part of me.
Wow. It's very logical. It makes sense. It makes sense.
It's a tremendous tool for people in recovery.
Oh, really?
Right. Because a lot of recovery processes want to separate out parts of yourself as not being okay. This makes all the parts of yourself okay.
Oh, that feels good.
Addiction is a biological, physiological kind of thing, but it's also part of your psychology. So your child is doing this to calm your critic, maybe it's the critic is doing it to get the child to stop crying. You have to explore it. But there's always a gift in there. Even in addiction, there's a gift that's being either released or suppressed. Some people say, "Oh, I only am funny when I'm drinking." Well, you've put your critic to sleep and you've gotten your child having a good time. But there's a way to do that without being addicted.
So there is a way to do that. You can bring them out together without the tools that some people need.
Right. And usually it's, suppressed by fear or judgment that was done when you were a child. And so that gets healed, and that's how it gets brought out.
So that, at my ripe old age, I'm looking back and I'm saying, well, that's a lot of people that have this kind of problem. I mean, I don't think I've met someone who hasn't had this problem, because we've been taught through all these years to simply ignore that inner child, not really give it any time, or you're an adult now, grow up, be an adult.
Right. Well, even back, you were talking about it being, back in the 80s, I think, when it was first popular.
Right.
But even then, Bradshaw would say, grow up your inner child.
Yeah, John Bradshaw. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't grow it up. You integrate it when it's healed.
So John Bradshaw, who I listened to for years and years, and I think it was in the 70s.
Was it?
Yeah, 70s. And yeah, he was always talking about the inner child. But you never got to the point, what do you do finally? Does the child ever grow up or not? So this is what you are bringing to us, is the final chapter of the inner child, or actually a new beginning of it, because we still need to recognize it and let that child remain a child.
Yes, and when it's satisfied, when one of those needs are satisfied to the fullest, it becomes integrated. That means we don't have that need. The child is part of us. It has grown up, so to speak, or it's gone into infinity. So that, like our spiritual self goes into infinity. It's not practice. Religion is different from spirituality. Religion is a concrete behavior thing going on. Spirituality is abstract and bigger and fuller and universal. So that when we have that much support, internal support, the child part will get healed if there's a dialogue. And then we're all of that. We're all of that together.
Wow.
For our whole self.
This is so good. You are incredible.
Well, thank you.
Knowledge that you have and is bringing the world right now. Oh my gosh. It's like we've been waiting to hear this. It's bringing the answers in.
Well, I think the answers have always been there. We just didn't know how to access them.
Yes, and you're bringing them to us. That's where heal the mind is healing mind,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where this is so important, but also with the workbook that we can work through everything.
Yes, it takes these same steps that's in Healing Mind, and it just presents it to the listener through guided imagery.
Now, with the guided imagery, do we have to have someone talk us through it, or how do we do that guided imagery?
It's a script. It has the foreword to it, that explains what this guided imagery is about, why you're doing this particular one. And then you have a week of 5-minute practices of that particular lesson. There's 18 lessons. So it's 18 weeks if you were doing it like as a group study. And you could do it as a group. I mean, you could have your friends do it as a group.
Oh, yeah.
You can record or you can just have somebody read it. But if everybody wants to, you record it and then just play it. Then do the exercise, which are very simple. If you've got teenagers who can do it, it's pretty simple for, everybody can do. And you could take that through the whole 18 weeks. You're going to have a much stronger internal system going on because it tells you how to dance with your shadow. You learn how to do that in there and how to integrate your shadow. Boundaries, it teaches about boundaries.
Wow.
Not feeling safe and shifting perceptions and accepting yourself and praising yourself and others. So that comes through mind magic. If you're an adult and you want to understand how it works, then you read Healing Mind. If you just want the exercise and experience and go that route and do it with, homeschooling or however you want to, your church group, you would do the Mind Magic with the workbook.
Do you give workshops?
I haven't done it, since COVID, but
oh yeah.
But yes, in the past I have. In fact, that's why I wrote this. I used to do workshops with people in recovery, and they would always say, "Well, where's the book for that?" I say, "Well, I haven't written the book yet." "Well, you've got to write the book." Well, it's taken me a long time because I'm dyslexic and I couldn't spell, and I had to wait till computers were invented, with spell check and everything.
Yeah, me too.
But the universe provides. It just does.
It just
does. And then with COVID, I've been doing online therapy, which I'd never done before, which is so much fun. I see people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And, it's just wonderful. And then we're doing this today.
Yeah, I know. Online makes getting together easier.
It does. Right.
It really does. So it opens up the world to you. So this is really, really important. And perhaps you will do a Zoom meeting and have a whole bunch of people and have a workshop.
That would be my first. And I'm open to all new adventures. So
and I want you to stay in touch with us because I want to send people to your workshop. If you have it on Zoom, which is real easy to do, it will be, people can be in their home, in their comfort level place, and be able to dive into what's going on with them and identify their inner child.
Now, I haven't done a group online. I've just done individuals online. And if I do it through betterhelp.com, and it's just /Janice-McDermott, and that gets to me on BetterHelp. If you would like to organize a workshop and do the technology that involves around that, I'd be happy to do it.
It's real easy.
The technology is what's got, I need backup on that technology.
It's just a flip of a switch, and that's all it is. But I'd be glad to. This sounds so necessary for everyone to get to that place where they can free themselves up to start living their life, and to actually, it opens them up to manifesting their life because they're getting rid of the baggage that is preventing them from going forward. And I think that's the biggest thing with the law of attraction. We have so much baggage that we have to get rid of so that we can start creating what we want.
Yes, yes. And the baggage is in the background. We don't even know. We know there's some there, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But it can come forth pretty easily. You can clean out that closet, and you can learn to identify that, and then you'll be that's your beginning.
Wow. That's exactly what we need. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming and talking with us. So I can't thank you enough. You've been absolutely wonderful. And to all my wonderful listeners, have a great week. And don't forget to ask the universe for a sign. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another great show from Law of Attraction Talk Radio. If you'd like to comment on tonight's show, send an email to jules@loaradionetwork.com and have a great week.
Hello, hello. Okay. Hello. Hello. Hi there. Can you hear me? There you.
Good afternoon.
Hi. I can hear you now.
Nice to have a face to go with that beautiful voice.
Yeah, it always helps, doesn't it?
It
Makes the conversation go better.
It's more warm and personal.
Yeah, exactly. And we can get down to the nitty gritty. So nice meeting you.
You too. It's been really fun. I've enjoyed all my connections with you.
Oh, good. Well, we're going to be talking about healing minds today. Okay. And so I'm just going to be asking you regular questions. And I kind of like to do it just like without any preparation, because there's a bigger impact I found. No need to be prepared. We're like spontaneous, having a conversation one-on-one. And that's what the listeners like the best.
All right. Well, I'm with you. This is like doing therapy. I do online therapy almost every day. And so you get a new face shows up, and I get to talk to people and get right down to the nitty gritty, like you said.
All right. That's what we want. Right. Okay. So here we go. All right. Let me make sure I'm recording here. Okay. We're good to go. All right. Well,